Washington, this is VOA News. Palestinians kill 5 in attack on Jerusalem synagogue. President Obama calls for a push forward in fight against Ebola. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. A policeman wounded by gunfire in Tuesday's terrorist attack on a Jerusalem synagogue has died. That brings the death toll up to 5. The other victims were rabbis with dual citizenship, 3 Americans and a Briton. 7 other people were wounded. 2 Palestinians armed with guns, knives, and a meat cleaver burst into the synagogue during a morning prayer service Tuesday and attacked worshippers. Police shot the 2 terrorists to death. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas condemned the attack, but the militant group Hamas celebrated it as another act avenging Israeli occupation of Palestinian land. Here is Ray Kouguell, an Israeli spokesman.
This morning's horrendous terror attack in Jerusalem against innocent worshippers is motivated by the same hatred, by the same Islamist extremism that beheads innocent civilians in Iraq and Syria.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered police to tear down the homes of the 2 attackers and speed destruction of houses belonging to those behind earlier terror strikes. Russia's President Vladimir Putin is accusing the United States of seeking to subdue his country just days after getting a frosty reception at the G20 meeting in Brisbane, Australia, and fresh accusations that Moscow is putting increasing military pressure on Ukraine. When asked at a meeting of supporters in Moscow Tuesday whether the U.S. is trying to humiliate Russia, Mr. Putin said no one has ever been able to subjugate Russia and never will. This is VOA News. 2 new videos by jihadi groups show the conflicting roles of Europeans in brutal struggles waged by militant Islamists as both victims and as perpetrators. One shows French and Dutch hostages pleading for help. Another appears to show a Frenchman and possibly another involved in an execution of Syrian soldiers. Lisa Bryant reports.
French authorities confirmed that a new video showing Frenchman Serge Lazarevich asking France to help liberate him was authentic. The video was posted by Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, which captured Lazarevich and another hostage 3 years ago in Mali. The other hostage, Philippe Verdun, was shot dead in 2012. The video also shows a Dutch hostage. Lazarevich is the last Frenchman being held hostage. Another hostage, Ray Kouguell, was executed in September. Lisa Bryant, Paris.
President Obama says the fight against Ebola has a long way to go, despite success in treating cases diagnosed in the United States. Speaking Tuesday at the White House after a briefing with his Ebola response team, Mr. Obama said the continuation of the outbreak in Africa makes clear how important it is to sustain the fight against the disease.
The bottom line, though, is that we know how to treat this disease, given that it has emerged as such a large, significant outbreak in these areas. And we recently saw some cases in Mali. It underscores how important it is to continue to push forward.
President Obama said until the outbreak is ended in West Africa, there is still some measure of risk to people around the world. A key UN Human Rights Committee adopted a resolution urging the UN Security Council to consider referring North Korea to the International Criminal Court for alleged crimes against humanity. North Korea has repeatedly denied committing human rights atrocities and accuses the United States and its allies of trying to discredit and overthrow their leadership in Pyongyang. Japan's prime minister is calling for snap elections and delaying a controversial sales tax increase, all part of efforts to solidify his political support and fight off recession. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe announced he will dissolve parliament this week and hold elections next month. That's 2 years ahead of schedule. A new report just out says the number of people killed in terrorist attacks rose more than 60% between 2012 and 2013, due largely to unrest in the Middle East and Nigeria. The report by the Institute for Economics and Peace says there were just under 18,000 deaths from terrorism in 2013, up about 7,000 from the year before. The Australian-based group says more than 80% of those deaths occurred in 5 countries. They are Iraq, Syria, Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.